Hi, this is Ruth Theresa with One Inspiring Woman, and today we get to celebrate a very special national day. That's right. Today, August 12th, we get to celebrate National Middle Child Day. That's me. I'm the middle child. I have two older siblings and two younger siblings. And so we're going to talk about like the middle child, because I think not only was I a middle child, but I also felt like a lot of other middle children kind of get lost in the mix. And I think that's what's really most important about it. So this is a great day to kind of celebrate that. And really, birth order plays a really important role in kind of like your personality and how you develop your personality. Birth order can like determine like how extrovert you are, or how agreeable you are to everything else that's going on around you, and kind of really how open you are to experiences. And I think that's one of the things that's kind of like really interesting about middle children, is that I think that they're really more adaptable to different types of energy, because they're usually not old enough to go with the older child, but not always they're kind of too old to go with the younger child. So it's kind of like you're kind of in that mix or that flail, but kind of between the two. So you're really too young to go with the older ones a lot of times, or the older one. And then the younger ones, you're kind of like you're too old, so you don't really kind of mix. So you kind of really learn from a young age how to kind of mix with different personalities from different age groups. And so you're kind of good with the older group because you don't want to cause any problems, so they'll kick you out of that group. And then with the younger kids, you want to feel like you're a part of them, so you kind of may feel a little bit younger or kind of act a little bit younger than your maturity level. So that's kind of just an interesting way to kind of really put this together. But middle children have a very special place because, like I said, they're very adaptable. They're very go with the flow, easier going. Where a lot of times, like the oldest child is usually the one, because they're with the parents by themselves. And usually, depending on how long it takes you to have another child, that child is by themselves for a period of time. So they get both mom and dad for a period of time, all to themselves, and kind of like, how do they deal with that? And usually they act a little bit more mature because they're used to being around adults. And not that that doesn't mean that they're not around kids as well. It's one of those, just most of the time they're home with their parents, nights, weekends, all that kind of stuff. So they kind of act a little bit more mature than people, middle children, or the baby of the family. And it really depends on kind of like how your family dynamics is made up. Usually the older child is always told to take the leadership roles. And so a lot of times they're just kind of naturally just like, I need to be the leader. This is what we need to do, and this is how we need to do it. And they really do kind of set the pace for everybody else when they're younger. Now, the youngest child is usually always considered the baby of the family. But I will tell you that most often the baby of the family is the one that's usually the most successful, because they've seen everybody else mess up and they've kind of figured out what they don't want to do. So they've been very observant of like, I don't like this, so I want to make sure I get this. Or I see where they failed and I'm not going to do that. And so they really, really kind of succeed in a lot of different ways. And a lot of times, like when we go back to birth order, a lot of times the older siblings don't have as many rights or privileges or freedoms as the baby child does. So it's kind of like the older one, because they're with the parents all by themselves, it's kind of like the parents are really doting on them and kind of really watching everything that they do. But by the time you have a couple of kids, it's harder to keep an eye on that youngest child. And so the youngest child usually has more freedoms. The parents have realized this isn't going to hurt them. It's not a big deal. We can do this. And so that kind of adds a little bit of flavor to all of this. I will tell you that middle children usually are kind of end up being really great negotiators. They're very diplomatic in their energy because they're used to kind of going between the two worlds, the older kids and the younger kids. So they're kind of really good about that. And dealing with family dynamics can be really something that they really pick up well. And I will tell you, it's interesting. Most therapists seem to be, the ones I've met, like 5 or 6 of them that I met, all are middle children, because they're used to being that negotiator, that I know how to deal with things, or I know how to work things out, and kind of how to really kind of push the energy of where do they want to go. Middle children are usually the ones that are kind of used not being seen, or not being making a big splash. So usually they're the quieter of the group, but they're really watching what's going on. And usually middle children become really fluent with foreign languages. Communication, foreign languages are really great communicators, because they're used to kind of running between one side and the other. So they're kind of used to that communication, and they might have a little bit more of a natural rebellious stage, because it's like, I'm too young for this, but I'm too old for this, and I want to make my own way, and I don't want to go where everybody else has gone. And so that can kind of be an interesting energy to work through as a middle child, I can tell you. So let's do some angel cards and see what information we pull up on being a middle child, and kind of what energy does that bring forth. So let's see. The first one is power. A lot of times middle children as children don't feel like they have the power, but I guarantee you when they get out, they are making their own decisions. They are making their own choices, and they're kind of like, I really love making my own choices. And they're going to be in a relationship usually that honors that in some way, or with friends that honor that as well. So they're going to be that child that, like, I don't want to do what everybody else is doing. I want to be the rebellion kind of energy. Next, music. I think because really the middle child plays a lot of harmony in the family, kind of being that middle child, kind of being with the energy of like, wherever it goes, that's where I'm going to go, kind of adds this fluidity to their energy, even into adulthood. So you can always see the kind of like, oh, they're always the one in the know, or they're always the one that has all the information. Next, friendships. Usually middle children, even into adulthood, have friends of different age groups, because like I said, as a kid, they were not, like the older group, they couldn't always go with them, but if they did, it's one of those, they wanted to make friends in that group. And then if they had to be with the younger kids or the younger siblings, they wanted to make friends is there as well, so they felt like they were a part of it. And so a middle child is going to be kind of like that great friendship. They're going to have friends at different age groups. They're going to have friends, younger, older, different ethnic backgrounds, all that kind of stuff. They're kind of be that international child. Abundance. Middle children a lot of times feel like this stress or this strain of making like a success out of them. It's one of those like, and they want to do it in their own way. And that's kind of where that rebellion energy comes in. It's like, I want to be my own success, my own way. And even if you may not count this as a success, they do. And so that's the really cool, interesting part about that middle child is they're going to play their own way. Dreams. Dreams, I think, is something that really picks up on a middle child's energy as a child, because a lot of times, like, they want to be with the older group. They want to be what they're going through. And then when they're with the younger group, it's kind of like they kind of seem like they need to be the leader. And so a lot of times it's kind of like their dream is to kind of merge both their worlds together. That's their dream world, is to kind of merge both of these two sides of them into one. And so that can be a really interesting energy. So if you're a middle child, I'm going to shout out to you. Happy Middle Child Day. Let me know if any of these experiences work out for you, or if you relate to them in any way. I would love to do a couple more videos about middle children since I'm one. I thank you so much for joining me today, and I know that we'll be talking again soon.